I thought I'd make this video to show you how I actually got into sim racing. It all started at the Nürburgring in 2016 at the BMW M Festival, where I had the opportunity to drive an M5 around the circuit before the 24-hour race. So here we are, leaving Devil's Diner, heading out onto the tourist circuit. To be honest, that was just a joke. That was actually Assetto Corsa EVO there, a game that's just been released and has an exact copy of the Nürburgring tourist circuit built in. So here we are in the real car, the BMW M5 with competition pack, 575 brake horsepower. We're heading onto the circuit itself. This was an extremely great opportunity that I had to drive a wonderful car around the Nürburgring. So what I've done is I've interspersed video from my real footage back in 2016 and the more modern footage from Assetto Corsa EVO into the same video clip so we can see the entire lap. So what we can see is me driving the M5 around, and this was pretty much what got me into sim racing. Before I started this lap, I used to race in Project Gotham and Forza on my Xbox, but after this I felt this is an opportunity to see how I could drive a real car but in a virtual situation. So I jumped into Project Cars 2, the first real simulator, real tracks, real cars. And when I started that, I used to drive in Forza mode, so behind the car in trail mode, so I could see where the corners were. But I soon decided that actually I wanted to feel more realistic, so I dropped into cockpit mode, which gives you the ultimate in realism. It's just like sitting behind the wheel of a real car. Moving from Project Cars 2, I moved into Assetto Corsa Competizione, where I got my love of the GT3 cars, which I'd always loved to follow for many years, watching the 24 Hour of Nürburgring, the Le Mans series, Le Mans 24 Hours, all those endurance races where the GT3s were king. Lovely cars to watch, lovely cars to listen to, and in a virtual world, lovely cars to drive. So after ACC, I moved into AMS2. It gave me a little bit more flexibility. It was a lot better track selection in my eyes, so I could actually drive the Nürburgring. I could drive my next favourite circuit, which is Mount Panorama, also known as Bathurst. So those are the circuits I enjoyed racing, so Assetto Corsa Competizione and AMS became my go-to sessions. In the beginning, when I started, I would use automatic gearboxes, which meant that I was that little bit slower than those who used the semi-automatic gearbox. I also used the racing line so that it would help me improve my consistency. But I soon decided that the right thing to do would be to switch off the automatic gearbox, get used to changing gears with the paddle shifters. That was when I started on a Logitech G29. So very, very weak, but it was a wheel, so it was something that I could feel part of the car. As I improved my ability to drive the car quicker and quicker, I upgraded my kit. I upgraded to a Thrustmaster TXPC and pedals. A firmer wheel, more force feedback, a much more immersive situation. So it started to feel like driving a real car. Was it truly there? Nope. Were the graphics there? The graphics were pretty good, even back in 2020. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to move to where I am currently. So my new game of choice, which had been sitting in my Steam library as an early access title, Le Mans Ultimate, was the place to go. I waited a year for it to stabilize. I tried it at the beginning, frame rate was atrocious. So I thought, I'm going to give it some time, let the developers develop the code, get better, improve the graphics, improve the force feedback. Then when I started using Le Mans Ultimate, I felt that it was the game for me. It focused on endurance racing. It focused on GT racing. So what I started to do was I started to go into online multiplayer, something that I really didn't do much of in ACC or AMS2, because I just enjoyed racing against the AI. But I was persuaded online is the place to go. Yes, we have our good and bad racers online, but generally the racing quality is fairly good. So at that time, I'm now racing in cockpit view, no racing line, a semi-automatic gearbox, all the things that are like racing a real car, using minimalistic HUD so that I am using the dashboard to tell me the information that I need. It was at that point that I decided now was the time to improve my entire immersion. So if you go and look at some of my other videos on the channel, you can see a short tour of my rig. So I moved to triple screens from a single 4K screen to 3 2K screens. Much more immersive, meant that I had a wraparound view, became more real. I upgraded my steering wheel, I upgraded my pedals, I upgraded my rig in general, so I moved to a MOZA setup. So the MOZA setup, the MOZA wheel, the GS V2P, and also the R9 wheelbase and the SRP pedals. Very, very great quality kit. I then added a fourth monitor for my extra information. So I usually use a track map on the fourth monitor just to give me an idea of where things are on the track, my equivalent of a spotter. I use Tiny Pedal as my overlays. I use Crew Chief in a minimalistic way. I pretty much have everything turned off in Crew Chief with the exception of lap times and the spotter. That's about it. I want to make sure that I have as little involvement from external sources as I can get. So after moving into the more high end of the kit, I then decided that I wanted to even further immerse myself in the game. So what I did was I actually boxed in my entire rig. I gave myself essentially a cocoon of blackness, so when I was racing all I would be seeing is the screens in front of me. Everything else was dark, so it was just like being in a car. No distractions from outside lights, nothing like that. So that and my HyperX Alpha 2 headset, I was pretty much in a world of my own. And it meant that I could drive circuits that I love. The one thing I do miss is in Le Mans Ultimate not being able to drive the Nürburgring, but it isn't part of the LMU series. So will it come along at some point? Maybe as a guest circuit, I can only hope. If it does, it will be the first purchase that I make, because I do love driving around the Nordschleife. It's just one of those circuits. It's so iconic. It's so difficult to learn, but it's so enjoyable when you get it right. So here's to the day when Le Mans Ultimate does bring that circuit in. But in the interim, I have Assetto Corsa EVO, which is heading towards its release, its full release. It's currently on a 0.5 release, so there's a way to go, but it's improving every release. As we can see from the quality of the footage from Assetto Corsa EVO, it's on par with reality, and this is what I love. It brings that whole thing together. It makes it an enjoyable experience. And what you've just watched there is a lap around the Nordschleife. We're just coming down the straight and we're going to pull back into the pits, back into the Devil's Diner. I hope you enjoyed this content, a little bit different, but hopefully it gives you insights as to where I started.